What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin, and you're watching the Friday weekly Market Watch video. We do these every week, Monday and Friday, and we talk about the Lorcana news, the meta prices, and meta trends. So this week, we have Zach, like every other Friday. He joins us on Fridays to have a little bit more of an extended version of the Market Watch, but he's on camera this time because he's finally earned the camera slot because he got top 64 at the DLC Vegas. So can we get some dubs in the chat for Zach? Now you can see his beautiful face. He told me that he didn't want his face on camera until he made day 2 at a DLC. You know, it was his own volition, and I totally agree. Zach, how are you feeling after making that day 2?
Feeling great. I'm the type of person to just kind of to make challenges for myself, and in order to put my face on the camera, I have to day 2 a Disney Lorcana challenge. It was a good event overall. I got to hang out with Kevin, celebrated his birthday the night before there. And then on Friday, when we got to the event, so many people came up and said hi to us. So again, I just want to thank everyone that was reaching out, showing your support. And we handed out some cool stickers, and we still have so many more stickers. So come say hi to us. And if you're in the local Southern California area, we'll feel free to ask for a sticker. Or if you'll be at the Disney Lorcana Challenge next month in Seattle, we'll have some stickers and some other goodies to hand out. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Kevin, I mean, like this was kind of like a surreal moment. I wanted my invite, of course, to Continentals, but we have to try again next time. And hopefully those last chance qualifiers, we get some news on them soon.
Yeah, dude. I'm hoping too. I'm pretty sure we will have some last chance qualifiers. You know, making day 2 is really hard. Top 64, it's a hard thing to do. I was one win away. Have done it in the past before. But we still have Seattle. You know, we still have that last chance qualifier to maybe get an invite to Continentals for Zach, so that we can both be there along with a bunch of other Team Goons members. But we can talk about the DLC and the meta in a separate video. This is the Market Watch, and we're gonna go over some news because we did get some new announcements for the next set. Azurite C coming very soon. This is set 6, and look, Zach, we have a new Mr. Smee Steadfast Mate. This is a 2 cost, 3 strength, 2 willpower that gains evasive on our turn. It's pretty much like Jafar, you know what I mean? But this is a pirate, so it does have that pirate synergy. We're getting a lot of pirates in this set. Flavor text says Captain Hooked like a ward with you, talking to the Tinkerbell in the bag right there, in the Tinkerbell in the bag phase. But check out this card right here from Peter Pan. Peter Pan Neverland Prankster. This is a 7 cost Emerald card, 4 strength, 6 willpower. This was revealed to us yesterday. Neverland Prankster says this character enters play exerted. So when you play it, it's already exerted. While this character is exerted, each opposing player can't gain lore unless one of their characters has challenged this turn. What are we thinking about this one?
Well, it's very interesting that it already enters play exerted. I think there's just items that do that right now. I'm not too sure. Is Gustav enter play exerted, or is that a different
I believe he does. I believe he does.
Okay, so this is the second time we've seen a card like that. The effect is interesting, but I always, and this is a standard from the Lorcana Goons channel, do not buy the pre-orders. I don't see this card even coming close to a $20 card. The singles shipping date, I'm not too sure if it's the actual release date or if they have to wait until the big box release to ship these out, but it's just not worth it. This card also doesn't see. I don't see this card being too impacting just based off what it says, but who knows? There might be some other cards that come out in the set. I know there's a steel song card that doesn't allow your opponent to challenge next turn. And so there could be like a little soft lock where if you, let's say you have the steel Jafar out and no one can challenge, and that means no one can quest. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how prevalent that's going to actually be in more of like a green steel control deck. But yeah, that's just my first thoughts when I see this card.
Yeah, it has a neat interaction where your opponent won't gain any lore from their locations if this card's on the field because they have to gain the lore before the turn starts, and they can't gain lore until
That's
they
true.
challenge. So that is one neat interaction with that card. We also got a new another Peter Pan themed card, Pixie Dust. This is an item for Amethyst that says 4 costs uninkable, pay 2 extra ink, exert, and choose Chosen character gains Challenger +2 and Evasive until the start of your next turn. I actually really like that. I like how Maui's Fish Hook already did that. And this is like a little bit different version of Maui's Fish Hook. It's uninkable, however, it kind of has similar effects, and it's for Amethyst. So now you can combine this with some other Amethyst cards. Maybe you're playing Amethyst with like Amethyst Emerald or something, because we did see a lot of Amethyst Emerald and Emerald in general in the top cut of the DLC Vegas and the DLC Birmingham. So we are starting to see some difference in pricing for some of these cards, especially some enchanted cards that are playable, like Diablo, Devoted Herald. Check this out, Zach. Lowest verified today is now 190, almost $200. After this 190 by Omega Gaming, we got another one for Strike Zone Online for 229. So more than $200. And if you're trying to get Diablos for less than 200, they're pretty much all gone. The most recent sales are 158, 189, 180. So around 190. Maybe you can get this last one for Omega Gaming, but you're probably still gonna have to pay more than 200 post shipping. And I'm pretty sure this is because we saw Emerald Steel take first place at the Vegas DLC, and not just that, there was 3 out of 4 of the decks in top 4 were Emerald Steel for that event. Actually, some of the greatest Emerald Steel players in the top 64 cut. Same thing with Sisu and Powered Sibling. Ruby Sapphire won the DLC in Birmingham. So Ruby Sapphire taking first place, making its impact already. Look at this. There's only 3 listings left on this Enchanted rare on TCG Player. Lowest is $200 now, $199 by the Hermit House. And dude, these were selling for $90 a DLC weekend. $90 these were selling for. Look, on the 23rd, $90, 125, 150, 116, 110. If we keep scrolling, you guys are gonna feel even worse, because they're as low as like 80 at one point, and now they're 200. Now, most recent sales are definitely hitting that, at least like gonna be more than 150 price. Most recent is 134 or 131, but you can't get it at that price, at least not on TCG Player. So maybe check your local listings for OfferUp, or maybe something like Facebook Marketplace or even eBay to try and get them a little cheaper today, because there's not that many on TCG Player. You're probably gonna have to pay at least like 150 though, which is still more than 90. Zach, how are you feeling about these enchanters getting bought up?
I mean, I did want to kind of point out it was really cool watching the finals of the DLC Vegas. Chris Louie, shout outs to you with your foiled out enchanted out deck. It looked so nice. So these enchanteds, they look awesome. And honestly, I would never play with them personally, but if I ever had to play with them, I would make sure to use Pristine Protection TCG sleeves and make sure that those cards are well protected. This is our sponsor for today's video. We are a huge advocate of this brand. We use them ourselves when we travel to these events. And they have inner sleeves as well as outer sleeves. So if you wanted to double sleeve your cards, especially with those nice looking enchanteds you guys have, make sure to use Protein Protection TCG to get your sleeves. And our promo code Goons10 will save you 10% off your order. So please make sure to support Pristine Protection, and supporting the channel is also comes with that too. And these are really good sleeves. I know we sell them at the local game store. A couple of my friends are always like, "Hey, pick me up a pack before before you fly out." And I'm like, "Well, if they have them in stock, because there's always there's always like waves of new shipments being released and available, but they do sell out from time to time. So make sure you get your sleeves while they are available."
Yeah, man. I use them for all my DLCs. I highly recommend it. You can also, use them to sleeve up your enchanters if you're just collecting them and you're not gonna play with them. You want to put them to the side, put them in your binder. They're definitely reliable. What I personally like too is that the colors, that you can't see the back of the Lorcana cards, and that's important if you're playing competitive tournaments, right? Check out some other enchanted rares that are being used in this meta space though, that I think might be kind of a come up right now. Morph was selling for way less than $100, but now lowest verified by Strike Zone Online is $99 and $1 shipping. Before today, you could have found it for $89, $99, $95, $93, and $91, closer to that $90 mark, maybe even $85 if you got lucky, like some of these other buyers over here. But today you gotta pay at least $100, and it hasn't gone up too much, only about $10. But Enchanted Morph is looking like it's on its way. Enchanted Bruno as well. We don't talk about Bruno going up. I was wondering why this Enchanted was so cheap last week too, considering how much of a staple it is in like Emerald decks. And I regret not buying 4 of them now, because you could have bought them at like $75, and now recent comp is $89.99. So $90. There's only 8 listings left, and lowest verified is by Dorkden Mancado by $109.99. So $110. Then Everything Games has it for $127. Then More Cardos has it for 150. As you can see, a variety of prices, right? So another card where if you want to find it today, you probably have to pay a little bit more on TCG Player. Maybe you can find it for a little bit cheaper from your local vendor or something. Check out Tinkerbell Giant Fairy too, man. This card going up in price. A lot of like heavy players like Deo Bolito playing like the maxed out rarity decks. You know what I mean? And they have to have the Enchanted Tinkerbells in their Emerald Steel decks. And today, lowest verified is $365 now. Before that one, there's a TCG Legends Unite that has it for $325. They got two of them for you. But point is, they're more than $300 today if you want to buy it like right now. And earlier in the week, they were selling for 309, 305. Last week, as low as 275, 270, 259. This is an Enchanted from the first chapter that is like an Enchanted staple. We've seen it this expensive before, and we've seen it go back down, but it always seems to come back. You know what I mean? And I think now that we're like in set 6, we have all these DLCs, we have these like pro players playing the game now. There's people who are collecting the game, and there's people who want to flex and play with their Enchanted Tinkerbell Giant Fairies, right? And this is from the first chapter, so that is one of the harder sets to still acquire right now. So definitely something to take into consideration.
Yeah, these first chapter enchanteds are going crazy right now. Maui is $330 for the lowest listing currently right now as we're recording. There is a couple sellers that have them in the slabs that are a little cheaper. I do know some people that are actually purchasing them to play, so they crack open these slabs. I don't recommend people doing that on their own. I strongly suggest you go to an LGS that is willing to do that. There are a few stores in my local area that have some pliers on hand. You sign a little thing just to make sure nothing, protect everybody, because they're just trying to provide a service, but they're pretty fair, and I would say the PSA slabs are a little bit easier. Beckett ones take a lot more like time, and they're a lot more, I would say, risky. So I would not advise somebody to do that unless they are experienced and have done that before. I mean, like this Diamond brand, I'm not too familiar with the grading company, and personally, I'm only
Never seen
willing to
this.
like validate like PSA and Beckett's.
Yeah, I like CGC.
Personally, that's
I personally
you like
like, yeah,
CGC?
I like CGC too. I feel like lately, sorry to interrupt you, but I just feel like I can't take the CGC slander anymore. Especially a lot of people use the CGC for Lorcana. And I like the way it looks. Yeah, I think it's on the come up. This I've never heard of Diamond something something. And I don't know. The thing about it, just it doesn't look nice to me. It doesn't but go ahead, Zach.
I just, I can't even tell in that picture if the card is sleeved in the slab or not. And that's a big thing too, is that like PSA and Beckett have grown over the years, and I still see every once in a while a Beckett slab unsleeved, and it's kind of, you got a little rattler inside there. And that's scary to me. So, make sure that the grading company that you choose and go with is one that you trust, one that you believe will protect your card while encasing it. And yeah, like these prices are insane for the first chapter Enchanted, and they're always going to be like the playable ones
Mhm.
too that do a lot. So for the most part, um, get your Maui Wowies while they're still around, but you are gonna have to pay a higher price point than you would have like about. Oh man, there was like a month ago where they were under $200, right? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something to consider.
The Maui Wowie. I remember when I pulled it at Disneyland. The week later, I sold it for like 140. Ooh, yeah, and now Maui's like one of my favorite cards, and I could have been playing that Maui. I could have been playing the Disneyland Maui that I pulled, but let's go over one more promo before we start going into meta stuff. The Ursula Deceiver from the D23 promo is also shooting up in price as well. Obviously, if all the Emerald cards are going to go up in price, then granted, the highest rarity of one of the best Emerald cards is also going to go up in price. Lowest verified is now $92 for the D23 Ursula Deceiver. And check this out. Somebody bought 4 of them today. Love to see that for $88.99. A little bit of a discount, but yeah, they bought 4 Ursula promos for a little bit less than $90. And yeah, throughout this week, they were selling for 91, 89, 99, 82. So it's getting really close to that $100 mark. And if you're just, if you're gonna buy these, yourself, and you're gonna get these, then maybe get them before they hit $100, right? As long as
I
Emerald
think
is in the
it's
meta.
crazy that it's almost the same price as the box it came in as an
Yeah, yeah,
MSRP.
yeah. MSRP. Yeah, that's actually kind of wild. You're right. If you bought the box for MSRP, this is pretty much paying for the whole box right now. Let's look at some other meta cards, some cards that you could probably pull from your packs if you're still, because they still are. It's looking like restocking Rise of the Floodborn at certain places. So, Beast Tragic Hero. hero today, selling as high as 43, 48. Remember we saw this like 2 weeks ago, Zach, and they were hitting as low as 35, and we're like, what happened to Beast? Nobody's playing Beast anymore. And now they're back to $45 by Vortex TCG. If you want a cold foil Beast, though, let's check this out. Let's see. Cold foils are still in the $70 range, so very stable. Love to see that by Backpack Template. So, how are you liking Beast now that Emerald Steel is looking like one of the more dominating decks of the format?
I've always kind of said that like shifting Beast on 3 is really strong, and Morph is the only way to do that as of right now, and that's what we're seeing that deck do. A big reference that I kind of want to say is that like I never sold this card for less than $40, even when it was less than that much. I just told people I'm going to keep every copy I have in my inventory unless they sell for a minimum of $40, because this card does not hit that threshold in this moment. Like this card is still a strong card, and I'm always an advocate of good cards coming back in waves or in cycles. I would say they don't leave forever, and we've seen this with Maleficent Dragon, Rapunzel gifted with healing. The card, even more the more recent Shimmering Sky legendaries we've seen happen more recently too. So these are just cards that like will always be good when the time is right. And we saw that this past weekend at the DLC Vegas when 3 out of the 4 top spots were all in Emerald Steel. And that had a very low representation even in the Swiss rounds. That's really something to consider. And Diablo Devoted Herald has a price point that also reflects why it did what it did, why that deck did what it did this past weekend. $34 plus $1 shipping is about what your cheapest copies are going to be. To go with a verified seller, you are going to pay a few more dollars to get that insurance from more of a verified, high reputable seller. And that's play to win games today at $37.97. So this is also something to point out. I know the cold flows are on like $42, $43, maybe $48. Pick up those cold foils if you really want to play them, because look, you're paying $5 more for a shiny.
Yeah, they're a little more
$5 more.
expensive now, and we said this last Friday. Last Friday we were talking about Emerald. We were talking about how, and even on Monday I mentioned how this card hadn't gone up too much. Like it went up a little bit. It was more than 30, and the cold foils were still like 36, 37. Look at this, they're already shooting up, and the non foils are now the price of the cold foils from Monday to Friday. Which is why I like doing the market watches from Monday to Friday, because we really do get to see the prices change from that time frame. But yeah, man, if you meta staples, if you feel like this is gonna go in my deck most of the time, then why not pick it up now? Why not get it shiny so it kind of maintains its value? Obviously you don't have to do that, but we do see the volatility in the non-foils way more than I think the foils, right? Let's take a look at Sisu Empowered Sibling, because again, Sisu took first place. Sisu on Ice, Red Blue at Birmingham, and yeah, these legendaries are now $20 easy. Gigabytes Cafe, 1946 for the lowest verified. And if you want a cold foil legendary Sisu, not too expensive, only 2656 by Dread Lorcana if you want to hit up a non-verified seller, or 2 pair collectibles for $29 with $1 shipping. So not too bad there for your Sisu Empowered Sibling. Ursula Deceiver of All has been going up a little bit in price. We saw a lot of people play this in their Emerald Steel. And just to prove my point, I want to go ahead and shout out Knives Nerd Corner on Twitter for making this awesome spreadsheet, basically going over how many copies of what card was played in like in most of the top decks in the DLC. And so he grabbed like all the Emerald lists from the top cut of the DLCs and was able to establish how many of them are playing this card, how many of them are playing this card, and most, if not all, were playing Ursula Deceiver of All. At least at least 3 to 4 copies of, except for Zach Bivens, who played 0 copies of it. You know what I mean? But most other players from that were playing Emerald Steel in that top cut were playing at least 4 or 3 Ursula Deceiver of All, along with a lot of the other cards that we're mentioning here. So the reason we're bringing up most of these cards that we're mentioning is because we've seen them in action, and this is the reason why they are going up. So huge shout out to Knives Nerd Corner on Twitter and YouTube for that information. Very useful if you guys want to check out, I guess, like what the top decks are playing. Let's take a look at the foils for Ursula Deceiver of All. Non-verifieds have them for 23 with $3 shipping, so 26, and then lowest verified is $26.99 with $1 shipping, for so just $2 more than that by Card Again Gifts. This card, pretty good price still in my opinion, around $25 for the foil, when the non-foil is like almost 20 already, right? Just like we were talking about Diablo. Anna, Diplomatic Queen. This is the card of the hour. This is everyone. This is the hype card of the set now. Everyone's so excited that this card is now more than $10. It did cool off a little bit. We did see it selling for around $16 the first couple days after the DLC Vegas finish. Zan Sayed, shout out you for getting first place and really showing people and how Ana is used. And same thing with the second place as well, Chris Louis. 1545 is the lowest verified for this Ana now, and that's a non-foil, by the way, by Stone Drink Collects. So still very close to the $16 mark. Lowest non-verified is 1345 though, with a dollar shipping by A1 Cards. If you want to go ahead and get it from them for just a little bit cheaper, and if you want a cold foil Ana, they are now more than $20. 23.73 by Cash Cards Official. Shout out you guys. They have them for $24 for a cold foil Ana is what it's looking like. Mufasa, Ruler of Pride Rock, been coming down in price. Not a lot of lists that were in the top cut red blue were playing Mufasa, and in general, not a lot of blue Mufasa decks. I feel really made it into the deep ends of the top cut. Lowest non-verified is $15 now with the 127 shipping by T Raw Card Shop, and then Stone Drink Collects again has them for $16.95, $17. They have two of them for you, less than $20. What happened, Zach? Why did Mufasa kind of fall off?
I mean, did we see a lot of it in any Ruby Sapphire decks? I know it was talked about in our testing circle as like a one of fun of,
Yeah,
but
there were
it didn't
some,
really
but
make
not
the
like
cut. It
yeah.
didn't really make the cut in even in my small testing with red blue. I bricked on this once, like I literally just drew it after I mulliganed and it stayed in my hand for a while. And at that point it could have almost just been any other card because I just had to ink it away with like a fishbone, right? And it does have like a strong effect if it does stay on the board, but against other Ruby decks, it just will die more often than not. It is pretty strong into like the Amber Steel decks because they're hard to remove, but you have a good matchup against that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help like your bad matchups. It doesn't help your Emerald Steel matchup. It doesn't help your Hyper Aggro matchup. So this card, as powerful as an effect can be, doesn't seem like it wins games. It wins game. It helps you win more when you already are going to win, in my opinion. Yeah, no, this card doesn't hit the spot for me. However, the enchanted art is fabulous, and that is a big thing I want to put out. Is that it looks so good art wise. The effect also good. Just in
Yeah.
practice, doesn't seem to make the cut.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great card. It almost feels like it's just not a card for red blue because, like you said, it's win more. You don't need it, but maybe other blue strategies, future blue strategies, even Sapphire Steel. It feels like this card might be a little bit more needed. Because the red blue just has such a consistent strategy already. And it's again doesn't help your bad matchups. Let's take a look at Daisy Duck, another card that's been coming down in price. By the way, lowest verified today is going to be 501 with 169 shipping, so a little bit less than $7. And then non-verified seller Nick Jr.'s TCG has them for 670, shipping included. Shout out Books and Brews, by the way, for being the lowest verified. They got two of them for you, so you can get two of them right there. Save a little bit on the shipping. But yeah, this card just came crashing down in price. Obviously, Hyper Aggro always has like a precedent in the early game of the formats. People always assume that Hyper Aggro is going to be the best deck, and it does perform. But then it always ends up happening. Somebody figures out how to counter it. Somebody figures out how to play the control deck so that you don't lose to Hyper Aggro, and then the cards start falling. So this is one of the reasons why we say obviously don't buy pre-orders for cards, because Daisy's pre-order was also like $20, $25. And then in the early stages of the format, we did talk about how Daisy's a great card. It was selling for $20, but as the format changes, it's going to come down in price. As more, packs getting come out into circulation, it comes down in price. And a lot of it really is like, buy the cards because you're going to use them. Like I got 4 Daisies and I kept them in my binder because I know eventually I'm going to want to play a deck with Daisy in it. I never have to worry about that ever again, right? Whereas like, some people, you're buying an inventory, you sell it in the beginning of the format because you know that the meta changes and card prices are kind of volatile. So definitely, oftentimes we definitely say don't buy the pre-orders for that reason. And if you are buying cards or building decks, like make sure you have a reason why you're buying the cards, in the sense like either you're going to collect it and you're good, or you're going to use it for a tournament. In that sense, if you're not playing any tournaments and you just kind of really hyped on the meta, then you might be a little disappointed when the card prices come down because you could have waited until now to build your Daisy deck. You know what I mean? But and personally, me, like we were playing a bunch of tournaments, so I wanted to pay $20 for Daisies because I wanted to play Daisy that week. And I'm down for that. And then even though they came down, I still have Daisies for when I want to play Daisies in my deck. But yeah, let's take a look at the foil Daisies before I keep going on with the card game. Lowest verified for the cold foils are $15 now, which is kind of cool. So maybe I could just bought in foil Daisies and waited. Steamship has them for 14 with $1 shipping. Not bad at all, right there. Pretty cool. For the Daisy, because I guess it didn't drop too much in price. I feel like the cold foils were like 25 right? On a bad day, maybe 30, maybe 30. But let's go on into some emerald cards, like we were talking about. Prince John over here still selling for around $5. Lowest verified is $4 with 127 shipping, and then we have Pixel Collection. They have it for 325 with $1.27 shipping. So you're still gonna have to pay around close to $5 per Prince John. And cold foils, look at this, closer to 15 today. We have Shazes 1440 shipping included. They have two of them for you. Shout out you. And Jake Ryan TCG 1315 with $1 shipping. So just a little bit cheaper. Basically the same price as non-verified and verified right there. Zach, how are you liking Prince John in the Emerald deck?
Well, this card just I've been a big fan of it ever since it was released and announced. I've kind of always liked more annoying strategies in like these resource based games. Um and it kind of like, struck a nerve when I kind of like shied away from playing Lemon Lime, and the ability to just kind of abuse Prince John in that deck as well is really strong. So this card has always been like a favorite of mine. I'm glad to see it at a nice price point. Cold foils are around like $15. And we saw how strong this card is in the DLC Vegas feature matches. It's not to be messed around with. It does provide a lot of draw power. In Emerald Mirror matches, Diablo is a good check to it because every time that they draw, you draw. So it almost seems that you don't really lose these resources. However, besides that, this card has ward and it can't be chosen unless it's by a challenge. So, AoE effects seem to be the only thing to really take this card out. Hidden Cove also adds that extra strength and willpower to protect it from Grab Your Sword. And outside of that, everyone loves, I would say everyone likes to have a villain in their story. And anytime somebody, sees a Prince John on the board, they don't really like it. They get a little salty, It's like, oh man, it's Prince John, of
That's so
course.
true.
But
Like it's very thematic.
yeah,
Prince John really is a villain. Prince John really is a villain in this game.
he's taxing, man. He's taxing. But I personally think that right now none of these sellers are taxing enough. This card is really strong, and it is from the second set. So pick up your cold foils if you've been looking. And somebody did tell me that this card actually has an errata.
But from where? What was the errata?
Well, it's just in it has something to do with like the opponent. It's like draw a card for each card discarded. It had changed like the wording of it.
Hmm.
I don't remember offhand, but somebody did tell me that, and it is important to look at like eBay listings with the errata. There was like a PSA 10 that had like a sale for like over $100 not that long ago. So it's
Wow.
something to
Okay.
consider.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. Yeah. Okay. So if anyone knows the Reddit, comment, leave it in the comments. I'd love to look into that as well, and really go into more detail, and explain that one. But yeah, it's staples in the meta, man. Like this, it just feels like if you're ever playing a discard engine, you're never not gonna use Prince John, or even a card like this. We don't talk about Bruno. More staples going up in price. Check this out. These are the non foils slowly creeping up past that $2 mark now. Pork Roll Gaming 199 with $1.27 shipping, and then non-verifieds 115 with $1.27 shipping. So these are pretty good cards. Just always buy in. If you're like a vendor, if you're trying to get into vending or something, and you can offer like percentages on people's bulk, like staples like Bruno, Prince John. They last and they're really important, and it's so good to see them kind of come back into circulation in the meta, especially for people like Zach. Zach makes a living selling cards, at Frankenson's Collectibles in Southern California. And I know you, Zach. I know you're very good at keeping inventory. Like I'm pretty sure like when the meta shifts, you just start moving your stuff around. Like, cool, I've been ready for this. I have 20 Prince Johns. I have 10 Brunos ready to go in case people ask. And people do ask, right? Like when you see it, like how many people asked you on Wednesday for Emerald stuff?
Um, there was more people looking to buy Diablos, and then a lot of steel cards, mostly steel cards, actually. A
Ah,
lot of
okay.
people were looking to
Or
get their beasts now. They might have already had their emerald cards. They might have been playing like lemon lime decks, and they just need to get their steel cards to kind of fit in the rest of the package. But this card I think has been like under $1 for a really long time. Glad to see it kind of go up, and this cold foils have always kind of had a higher price point from my understanding. So nothing much has changed in that way, but the The Emerald strategy again, it when it goes off, it's hard to stop. Again, it has some inconsistencies when it doesn't find the right combination of cards, but it did not have that effect this past weekend. And I really like to see Emerald do well. It's one of my favorite colors. Emerald Steel was the first color combination I played in first chapter. And Morph Space Goo, the best card, the best enchanted personally, and the price is actually shocking. I remember there was a point where this car was like $3 or $4, but the above $1 mark is really good to see. This card was like nearing like almost 50 cents and stuff for a close time, but the price is like slowly creeped up. Cold foils I know are around like $6 now, and that's something that's really exciting to see. I've had a lot of cold foils for a while. There are times where I buy collections, and sometimes like people have collected a card, like an abundance of copies of cards, and I think somebody had like maybe more than 15, less than 20 of these. And I had to buy them all because I was buying everything else that had to come with it, of course. So anyone that is looking to like buy and sell, leveraging buying everything has been more of my strategy that's helped me the most.
Mm.
It's allowed me to get the amount of inventory that I have at the collectible show. And it's just something that I really implore people to do if that's what you are looking to do in this space. Again, it's not for everybody. It is a big, responsibility, and it is a risk, so please don't take this as advice. Just understand that like it's something that worked out for me, and I got pretty fortunate and built more of a brand and a business that way. But this card, just it's starting to see a lot more activity and a lot more play. And it's the only card that really does what it does. No pun intended.
Yeah, definitely a one of a kind card. Morph Space Goo. Being able to shift Beast on turn 3 is crazy, and when your opponent plays this on turn 2, you have to ask yourself, or even on turn 4 or 5, whatever, you have to ask yourself, are they going to shift Clarabelle, Beast, Tinkerbell, Robin Hood, or even something strange, something you've never seen before? It's a card you have to respect. I'm liking the Kit Cloud Kicker promo right now, been going up in price just a little bit this month. The Rise of Emerald, this is a very good out to Diablo too, and it's also an out to Flynn Rider if you're playing Emerald. Lowest verified is 225 with $1.27 shipping, or there's some non-verified sellers that have it for $1. 127 right here. Dread Lorcana, they got two of them for you. So if you're looking for some shiny Kit Cloud Kickers, I think that's a pretty nice one compared to the regular foil. Let the Storm Rage on. Zach, check this out. You were talking about how people are looking for their steel stuff. Even the commons are going up in price now. Common Let the Storm Rage on is almost $1. Check, yeah, all the verified sellers have it for at least 75 cents with $1.27 shipping, lowest verified. You got to pay more than $1 for this card, almost $2 for this common. That's really nice to see. Cold foils for these, it's still pretty cheap in my opinion. Natural selections $4 with 127 shipping, so a little bit more than $5. And we have non-verified sellers for 385 with that 127 shipping. So very close to $5 for this cold foil. Kind of like
1 second, Kevin. Did you know that the Merlin starter decks are actually available on Amazon for less than $10? And with not only foxes and rabbits, I think it comes with 2 or 3 copies of Let the Storm Rage On. So literally, just make your money back on the singles and get a free pack to open.
yeah.
I think that's a deal. So if you guys are listening right now, go on Amazon, take a look at and see what you find available. This was something that I did notice a few days ago, so hopefully it's still standing true. But I just wanted to point that one out there.
Wow, that is pretty good. So yeah, the Floodborne starter decks, they're that cheap.
Just on Amazon for right now. I can't, I don't, at least from what I saw a couple days ago. This
Oh,
is
okay.
again something I
There you
have
go.
to refresh myself on, but
There you go. Pro
I
tip.
ordered some. I ordered some, so I just gotta let
Nice,
you know that.
nice. Yeah, pro
Yeah.
tip. Yeah, good to know. Good to know. There you go. See, we got the you got the hidden tips from Zach Stone on Fridays. This is why we love hearing. This is why we have him here, man. Great value there. Peak Games referee Cold Foil. They're now $10 minimum, more than $10 actually. Most recent comps are 875, 999, 869. Lowest verified is 861 with $4 shipping. That's almost $12. And highest sale was 1197. It says average sold daily 7. So they're definitely moving. And non-verified sellers have it for 905 with $1 shipping. So you're gonna pay more than $10 today for your Cold Foil Pete Games referee. That I did underestimated this card. The card is actually really good. Like being able to go back to back Pete is pretty crazy. Another great card that I think is underestimated right now is Lyle Tiberius. I see a lot of Emerald decks playing Lyle Tiberius, and it's showing in the prices as well. There's only 6 listings. A bunch of non-verified sellers have them for a variety of prices here. We have A1 cards that has it for 345 with 127 shipping. They have 2 of them for you. Then it jumps to 20 lore TCG. They have it for $6. So it jumps from like $4 to $6. This is 6 with $2 shipping, so actually more like $8. So we got one for 5, one for 8. Then we have Beast Warriors for $9, shipping included. Then we have Jujubee also 9, and then Black Hills Lorcana also $9. Actually $10, $7.99 with $3 shipping. The lowest verified is all the way down here by SYGO for $16.95. $5 shipping, and they have 4 of them for you. So if you wanted to pay $20 or around $16 per Lyle, you can get them from one verified seller. But plenty of non-verified sellers have them for a little bit cheaper. But yeah, only 6 listings left, Zach. I like this one. What do you think?
This card, I think there was a while Frank Nicola and I talked about this card as being like a penny, excuse me, it's penny stock option. So this is just a very powerful effect to be giving characters reckless. Also, I just remember playing a game on Pixelborn a long time ago, and I was up like 17 lore to their 3, but they started double, like played Lyle, another Lyle, and eventually I was down to like 5 to their like 14. I was like, oh no, and I lost that game. So Lyle single-handedly carried them to that victory. And as something that I kind of wanted to put out there, there is a lot of strategies to kind of like invest in like the penny stonks, I would say. Something to kind of talk about too from my perspective is that like we saw Anna, I think $6 at most for
Yeah.
non-foils. I know you talked about your story of trading some away at that weekend.
Yeah.
And then the prices just tripled.
Hmm.
And that was a legendary that people thought, was that they wrote off as a bad card. Again, it just takes somebody to not only build decks, like whether they build it around it or not, just to see how well it fits into decks. So I kind of wanted to use this point here to talk about some legendaries that I think would always have like a place a place in the meta, maybe not as like this is like how you build your deck around, but like the card has some potential. So Grandma Tala, Spirit of the Ocean, is the shift Floodborn from Into the Inklands, and it has an ability that when a card is put into your inkwell, you gain 1 lore. It's a way to like kind of like cheat out some of like the win conditions without questing. Sapphire already has Lucky Dime, so that doesn't always fit. But there are a lot of cards that kind of like ramp. Like we have the new Donald Duck, the Tipo, of course. There's a song called "Friend Like Me" that basically ramps 3 ink for each player. There's a lot of ways to kind of like use this to your advantage. Mama Odie can start one jumping ahead every time you cast a song, and there is a lot of potential for these legendaries. So right now the price is only like $2 with like your average shipping cost. Um, I tell people all the time, like, pick up a couple play sets and put them away. Just to do that for yourself, because if they ever go up to even like 5, 6, even $10, just take a playset and sell out. That way it pays for the other one you already have, and you have a little bit extra money, and you don't have to worry about getting these cards if you ever decide to play them again. At least if you're looking to play this game. Like when they're cheap legendaries that are available, I tell people to buy them all the time. Cold foils, only $5. Now, if you have some extra money that are lying around, there's about 98 listings, so there's a strong, steady supply. And that does tells me that there's not a lot of confidence in this card, but that doesn't mean that this card couldn't get better with as new cards get released. We see Mickey Mouse Trumpeteer at a cheaper price right now, and both these cards, legendaries I'm talking about, have enchanted versions. So always keep in mind that if you're looking to collect, once these cards see more play, their chances also go up too, and that is a big incentive for people to kind of like throw some extra money if you have that extra capital lying around. Again, it's not necessarily like financial advice that I'm trying to give you guys. It's just more of like a perspective of like how to approach like investing in card games if that is what you're looking to do, because this card does have an ability where you exert it, pay 2 ink, and play any character for free. And we're starting to see a lot more cards I would say like in the meta that are very like high cost and very like expensive, but also like greedy. Well, this card is a way to like cheat them out, and there is plenty of ways to give characters resist and ward or evasive. So it doesn't always have to be like destroyed or removed immediately. That I can imagine this card playing a Mufasa for free, and then even though it takes back two of your ink, you know, you have a character that just can't get answered that early. Or if you're playing like Amber and you happen to play Plutos or Lanterns and play this a turn early, like it is a lot of uninkable cards, but just to consider that there are a lot of potentials for these cards. And again, if you have the extra money, the play sets are only a couple bucks. You can take $8 and buy yourself a playset. Or if you have a little bit more money, buy yourself two. When they go up, sell the other playset, pays for the other one, and then you have your playset to play with for free. And that's just kind of like what I tell a lot of my closer friends to do with their extra spendable money in the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like your main source of income either. Like TCG Player offers a service for you to sell cards for a reason. And a lot of us, in the community space, like, we do this for a hobby, and it's also a second way, to circulate that income, which is always cool. It's never a bad thing, I think, to get into this sort of thing. And I like how you mentioned it, kind of like penny stonks, because yeah, that was how it went down with Anna. Like a lot of people probably did, and you as vendors, like a lot of vendors, I'm sure you're constantly buying collections, and with that risk of, this could either be worth nothing or it could be worth something. And the assumption is that this is going to be a thriving game, and with a thriving game comes a thriving meta, a thriving tournament scene, the circulation of cards, collectors, and with all those factors being played into it, there's a world where like most of the cards you buy eventually start to move. You know what I mean? Whether it be a demand for collectability or demand because of the meta changes, regardless, they'll be there. They'll be moving about. And obviously, like you said earlier in the video, it's easier to buy full collections. But even then, like you said, buy some play sets for your master set or buy some extra ones in case they do go up. Which tends to happen for some of these. And if you're into like sealed product, be sure to not miss out on some of these like D23 collection drops, like this recent one that has been now selling for 329, almost 350 again. Macy Cards has the lowest verified for your D23 2024 collection sets today. These are the 6 promo cards. It's gonna be 329 with $6 shipping. So around 330. And yeah, we have a sale yesterday for the same price, and no longer less than 200, 300, as that lowest verified. After that, Lore Alley is 340, 399. They have 2 of them for you. And then Wicked Awesome Cards has them for 360. They have 80 of them for you. This was expected to see after that Ursula going up in price, right?
I would say so for sure. Yeah, the Ursula was one of the cards that kind of like was started to go up out of all the sets. Then we saw Cinderella, Oswald, the Bruno didn't take off, but the Taylor Mickey actually did too. A lot of the collectability does come from the D23 promo sets. And again, it was an awesome experience going to the D23 Expo. It does kind of give me like a little fond memory of being there with you and Bag, of course. And not only that, that Mickey, that sorcerer Mickey, I still have mine, and I don't plan on getting rid of it for a while. I kind of like having a story to tell with some of my cards, and that is what I'm looking to do in my journey as not only a competitive player and being in the vending space. I come from a different TCG, but I decided to take this leap, and it really paid off for me. But
Mhm.
I strongly believed in not only the IP, I just believed in just the general area I was in. I was near Disneyland. I heard a lot of people, my close friends, talk about it, and I still thank Kevin to this day for kind of just telling me, "Hey, come to the shop and buy a box with me." And honestly, it started something that I didn't expect to kind of be where it is today. So really, guys, to all those watching and that do come by and support me at the booth, I really appreciate every single one of you.
Yeah, man, and Zach, in case you didn't know, it's actually been a year since the channel was made. It was a year on the 23rd of September, or I think the 17th of September. So we've had the Lorcana Goons channel for a year, and we've been doing the Market Watch videos for a year because that was like the second or third video that I ever uploaded. So, like you just said, I never thought we'd be here. Thanks again, everybody who came to us at DLC Vegas at the D23 events. If you guys do want to show some more support, we just launched finally a small little Goons website where you can buy this Goon shirt. You'll probably notice a little shop on the YouTube section and another shop connected as well for some more like simple designs. But this is the Goon shirt that you've been seeing people us wear at the DLC or the D23 conventions by our team players of Team Goons. I like to call them our pro players. There's me and Dean Confam over here after our run in Toronto, our run in Fort Worth, making day 2. So if you want to rock the Goon shirt like us and show some support, you can buy it right now online for $22 plus shipping, and it supports the channel. We really appreciate you guys for doing that. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say thanks again. I also real quick, huge shout out to Zaven on Twitter, High Score Zap. They made a pretty cool spreadsheet about the expected value for all the sets. I'm not going to get too into it because it's a lot of like numbers and black and white text and stuff. But it's a pretty cool spreadsheet to kind of showcase what the expected value per like a first chapter box is with or without an enchanted. And I think the Lorcana economy is definitely sustainable given that information too. So if you want to support the channel, buy some shirts, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you are a Lorcana Goon, because it does support the channel as well. Zach Stone, anything you want to say before we call it a day?
Honestly, no. I think you summed it pretty well. The shirts have a limited supply available, but we're looking to branch out into other accessories. So leave a comment of what you'd like to see us try to create, and we're looking to supply every goons out there with some merch, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching the Market Watches. This has been Zach. Kevin is our host, and stay tuned to Lorcana Goons.
All right, well, we'll see you goons next time.